Welcome to the Whiskey Congress. Whiskey Congress is in session. Where my good friend Steve would normally be sitting, we have a special guest from the Alan Cox Show on WMMS and from multiple comedy venues in the greater Cleveland area, and recently named the funniest male comic in Cleveland. We got Bill Squire with us. So, Bill, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. And thanks for the martini. That was great. I drank mine already and then also ate all the olives and then snuck another olive when you weren't looking.
Okay, so Bill's in studio because Steve is not in studio. Steve is in Baltimore joining us by the phone. How you doing there, brother?
I'm good. As you already know, I'm already not happy. I have a handicapped room, and I don't consider myself to be handicapped no matter what anyone says. And so it's just set me in a bad place, just so everyone is aware off the rip.
But isn't a handicap room like akin to getting like the handicap stall when you have to take a shit?
Yeah, but no, it's not. See, that's where you're wrong. See, because so the bathroom is really big. So if we're talking about a stall, that's great. You can open up, spread out, have a handle to grab onto. This is different. Like everything is so far spread out that like you feel like it's too far, and if you go down, you actually can't get up. Like that's my fear. That
I thought the handicap. I thought they had the higher toilet.
Steve, I'm sorry you're in a bad mood, but do we really want to start our show talking about where you're going to shit for the next 2 days?
Fine.
I do.
So Bill does. Actually, so Steve, it is very important stuff. Steve, did you happen to get to watch the Alex Jones on Megyn Kelly interview?
I did.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I actually was able to watch it when I was waiting in the airport. So it wasn't the initial reports coming out, because before the interview actually aired, the reports coming out made it, I guess I built it up in my mind that Alex Jones was going to go full-blown alien baby. Sandy Hook absolutely didn't happen. It was an absolute prank hoax. And, I thought he was going to be over the top. And then I thought Megyn Kelly was just going to kind of be there, kind of egging him along and kind of being his cheerleader. It wasn't that. She did an okay job. She actually did a better job than I thought she was going to do. There weren't many gotcha moments. She did let him be who he is, or play his character, or however you want to say that. And
Steve, I don't know if you know this, Steve, but she's a psyop. If you thought you were going to avoid me doing Alex Jones impersonations on the show today, you're wrong, Steve.
And it's because I'm not there physically to threaten you with
to stop him
that you're able to do that. But no, I did. So all in all, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I've heard a number of different things on this. And I came out earlier in the week and said, you know what, I don't want a guy like Alex Jones to have a platform. But in that particular instance, I realized if you're watching that guy, and if you have common sense, like you realize this
I think you just covered both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, Jim, what did you think?
I agree with your assessment. I mean, in the end, it didn't. I thought he looked like a jackass because he wouldn't answer anything with any kind of intent. Bill, you said you did not see it?
I haven't seen it. I've heard some of the clips.
Okay.
But I know how Alex Jones operates, and I know how Megyn Kelly operates, and it was her trying to basically show I can hang with all these people that no one else wants to touch, and then it's him getting to be on a national platform.
Steve really likes when I do my Alex Jones impersonation, and I do it pretty well, I think. Sorry,
it's all you have to do is really
that's really
a raspy voice,
gravelly, but
you give a gravelly voice, then you go, the psyops, 1776.
That's right. So yeah, I agree, Steve. It was kind of a much ado about nothing. She did.
I bet they fucked.
I hope that for both of their sakes, I hope they did.
But I think she probably fucked him with a strap on.
You know what? If that tape comes out, maybe she gave him a golden shower. Maybe this whole Trump thing.
There you go.
Like, the imagery in my head, I'm intrigued.
Good thing you're alone. You can take care of what's happening. We can't.
Or can we? Or can we? Yes.
I have had a very strong martini.
I got him drunk too. Kind of like when he was Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan and they got him stoned too soon. I got Bill drunk too soon, so this could turn interesting in a hurry. Did you happen to see that, by the way? I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan's podcast.
I have not seen the Joe Rogan where he got Alex Jones really stoned.
He literally, Alex Jones gets up, goes to the bathroom in the middle of the show. Early in the show, actually. Mm-hmm. And when he's in the bathroom, Joe Rogan tells the guy, I forget who was with him, it's one of his regular buddies, one of the jiu-jitsu guys, and he says, our mistake was we got him stoned too fast. Well, an hour later, Joe Rogan says, Alex, we probably smoked too much weed. Oh, I didn't do that, Joe Rogan. Maybe you did that, but I didn't. Like, he told the whole audience that happened before in the show, and then Alex Jones gets on there and fucking lies about it. Yeah. The guy has no, and there's even video of him passing a joint. Can I prove it was a joint based on the video? No. But that, to me, I wish that got more pub, because Alex Jones is a stone cold liar. We all know this, and yet the idiots that do listen to this guy, and they brought up Pizzagate in the interview. Mm-hmm. Literally, someone could have died because of this asshole making ridiculous claims, because there are people out there dumb enough to take action. They think, I'm going to save kids. What's that?
I'm related to someone that is a InfoWars subscriber. He listens to it every day. It's my uncle, and he is all in on all that stuff. And when him and my dad get together, they'll just talk and talk and talk about stuff. My dad isn't an Alex Jones guy. He thinks Alex Jones is an idiot, but the conspiracies are still there. Now, my dad is not a Sandy Hook truther or anything like that, but my uncle
is really.
I don't know if he's on that one, but I know there's plenty of things that he gets really worked up over, and it's really hard for me to be around them when they get going. Last time I was with them together was Christmas Eve, and they were talking about climate change and how it's all a hoax and just trying to make Al Gore rich and stuff like that. And I was just like, guys, your straw man theory stuff, it doesn't hold up when you use actual science. The way they go about their beliefs is, this is what I believe, now I'm going to go find something that supports it. Not, I'm going to find all the different aspects of every angle, examine it from a educated point of view, and then come to a conclusion at the end. They already came to the conclusion. They just want to find things that support it.
Backtrack to that, yeah. Mm-hmm. As I chomp on an olive, sorry.
It's National Martini Day.
It is National Martini Day.
It's funny. You brought up the whole environment thing, and just a quick little sidestep. Rick Perry today. Okay. If you don't know who Rick Perry is, he's the Energy Secretary, a guy from Texas. He was the former
governor,
former governor of Texas, and they asked him if he thought that carbon dioxide, if it was a big part of climate change, and he just flat out said, nope. Key there is ocean waters and the environment that we live in. Has nothing to do with carbon dioxide, which I'm not a huge environmental guy. I am not a scientist, all right? But I trust scientists. And so when the scientists say, the guys that are paid to do science, when they say carbon dioxide is, a big thing going on here, and Rick Perry, who is also not a scientist, comes out and says, no, fuck that noise. It's not.
I think
he's the Energy Secretary. I have concerns.
Rick Perry is not a scientist is the understatement of the week. But
just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, it's scary. Bill, I deal with that same thing too. So Bill's hanging in the studio. We got to see the urban garden. I don't know if you noticed the rainwater collection barrel. I'm pretty earthy about a lot of stuff.
But it's not even just being earthy. It's being
a nerd.
Productive. And that's
you're lucky you're in Baltimore, Steve.
Here's the thing. My dad, he contradicted himself because he doesn't believe in climate change, but because we were in Boy Scouts and stuff like that, he taught me to go camping and not leave garbage everywhere and actually care about the planet. That was something that he instilled in me and it backfired because I was like, oh, well, I care about the planet, and then also I kind of wanted to exist for a while, and be able to exist on it.
Hold on, Bill, I have a question.
Yep.
Was he telling you not to leave trash behind because he didn't want the Democratic left militant tracking you?
No, it wasn't anything like that.
No.
It was literally
genuine
he
care.
wanted to preserve the.
Okay.
The,
all right. Well,
yeah.
I just want to make sure we're being fair to your dad. That's
No, I appreciate that. Like he taught me to care a little bit more. Like
Respect
we
nature.
would go and clean up the trash like on our street. We go clean up trash. Like I did that a lot with my dad. Like he's the first person that I ever saw like run down a piece of garbage that was floating through a parking lot because he just didn't want to see it. And so he cares that much. And then also things like you get into higher things where it's fossil fuels and stuff like that. That's where it starts to change. But the actual preservation of the land around you came from my dad.
Right, and that's something that I think sometimes get lost by people like me, because there are lots of really right-wing people who say stuff that makes you want to punch them in the face. Not your dad, but just in general, who genuinely have good hearts.
Yeah,
and I mean, I've got a cousin he's a school teacher, and he's given like whatever some ridiculous number of gallons of blood over the course of his life as a blood donor. And, he's a very compassionate father. And yet, you talk to him about something political. It's like, can you admit Barack Obama was born here? Well, I don't know. I'm like, how many pieces of paper do you fucking need? And by the way, too late. He's in. But that same guy, great heart until you get him down that path. And then it's ridiculous. You look like you were going to...
Well, because my dad is also, like, he donates blood and, like, the platelets because he has the rarest blood type. And so he'll go and do that. He'll read to elderly widows and like do all these amazing things. But then you say evolution, and he goes, "Actually, let me tell you why that's bullshit."
I think that's the key to getting things back on track is for the people to kind of lose that venom towards something. I mean,
right, and
that's so programmed.
That's the nice thing about the way that I interact with my dad is we get heated, but it's never you're dumb or you're wrong. Like we don't scream at each other. We interact, and it's like other people get uncomfortable with it, but because me and him have been doing this long enough now, like I remember my dad asked me, I mean, he's a Mormon. He asked me if I believe in God, and like, so many times in my life I was regurgitating what he had already taught me, and then the first time I told him no, he's like he was taken aback. He's like, okay. And he like that's like the first time I felt like my dad ever respected me because I told him the absolute truth in that moment.
And I know you were very religious as a younger person, and I know you went to the Philippines as a missionary, and I think that was driven largely by your family. So that had to be a pretty, I mean,
it was a significant moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, it probably was both. He was proud of you and yet upset at the same time.
Right,
sure.
like I said, like that's the first time he saw me stand up to him in a way that was pretty groundbreaking to
that was your I'm a man moment. Where you felt it and your dad acknowledged it at the same time, which I think that happens obviously differently for every father and son, but that was your man moment, and it's something that for some it doesn't always go well for everybody. Like for some people, they have their man moment with their dad, and their dad completely shuts down for whatever reason, and it pretty much ruins their relationship for either a short period of time or an extended period of time. And fortunately for you, it seems like it actually helped to maybe strengthen the relationship, or it didn't harm it in any way.
It helped the relationship evolve into something that, it's not like I'm best friends with my dad. We can coexist together, and I'm trying to do things that I like. For Father's Day, I invited him to go shooting, and we're gonna go. Like, I'm not a huge gun guy, but I appreciate the art of trying to shoot long range or like shoot targets. Like that is incredibly exhilarating to me and to him. So we're gonna go and shoot some targets and have this time to bond because that's one of the few things that we can do together, and it's going to be equally engaging to both of us.
You you probably don't know this, and since our show is getting rebranded, I'm a liberal gun nut, so I'm into guns, and there's one on the wall with us here. Which so I hang around in the gun crowds all the time, and being politically liberal in that crowd is often
probably kind of fun, yeah.
Well, I tell to this, I'm always outnumbered, however many to one. There's almost never, and what's really annoying is when there is that one other voice that is actually on your side that tells you that they're on your side after the shit's over. It's like, oh yeah, I was with you. I'm really glad you said that. And where the fuck were you when I was, having 12 people tell me I'm Obama's butt boy? It's like, I'm just telling you, like, if you, again, if you need 4 different versions of a birth certificate,
I'll go be Obama's butt boy with you.
Well, thank you,
yeah,
thank you, Bill.
We can go do some gun stuff together.
Sounds good. So anyway, yeah, I agree, Steve, that the interview was kind of a dud in one sense, but I do give Megyn Kelly credit.
Well,
she did.
Well, hold on. I won't say it was. No, I don't think it was a dud. For me, it wasn't a dud. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought it was, if you were expecting Alex Jones to be full on Alex Jones with just like crying about alien fish babies, then yeah, it was a dud.
I wanted that so badly.
Right. He didn't do that. I mean, but you can just go to his fucking YouTube channel and pull that shit up. So, but I think that it was a better interview from Megyn Kelly's standpoint than what she did with Vladimir Putin, where she literally got steamrolled by a KGB agent. Who doesn't?
People made fun of her for not having the chops to interview Vladimir Putin, and my response to that would be, and who does?
Right. Not many people do.
He's not going to let anybody.
There's that.
If anybody were to actually get a great interview with Vladimir Putin, they'd also be dead very soon. So we'd have to find out about it, like
posthumously,
yeah.
Well,
I don't know what type of combination of person that you like. The only person that I feel that could give Vladimir, like, who could interview Vladimir Putin and make it out would be somebody like a Cornel West type of character. Right? Like, just some dude that just kind of confuses Vladimir Putin just from his pure existence, right? Like an old black dude with an afro that's kind of gray, that's real pissed off and gives zero fuck that Vladimir Putin is a conniving, murdering, ex-spy, richest guy in the world, right? Cornel West is just pissed about racism, and he's probably the only person that can interview him and make it out, because Vladimir would just be, what the fuck just happened? Why is that guy so mad at me? I don't even know him.
I'm doing more Alex Jones impersonations if you do that again. Actually, there's I think it's on Showtime. Oliver Stone interviewed Alex.
Stop. Just
hold
stop
on.
now.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to go into it because I didn't watch
We're
it.
not doing this. We're not going down. That's a dark road you want to go down.
I haven't seen it yet, so I won't speak on it at length. But it's disappointing to me because I'm such a huge Oliver Stone fan. And he has continued to lose me over the course of years. I mean, I loved so many of his movies when I was younger. I just rewatched Wall Street the other day, and I love that movie. And then I just see how off the rails he's gone in the last... he's probably been off the rails the whole time. I'm just starting to see it, and it bothers me. What's that?
I said, yeah, you're probably just starting to see it.
Yeah, but even if he was off the rails, but he still needed funding... So he had to bring things back to something that was a little bit more mainstream, or at least a little more sensible. But I just want to throw in who I think could interview Putin and get away with it, and not now, but before the movie Borat.
Oh God!
He could have done it.
That would have been
because he would have been just as terrible as Putin, and Putin would have matched him the whole way.
Let me try to mix your two ideas. Ali G would have been even better.
Yeah, I mean, just that Sacha Baron Cohen could have interviewed Putin and gotten a great.
Oh my gosh, so many awesome things there. All right, on that note, let's move on to something depressing because.
Great, let's do that.
I segue so well.
By the way, just so we're clear, you just said Oliver Stone's got crazier as he went on, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But it's the same Oliver Stone who made the movie Platoon.
That's a great movie.
Which is a great movie, but don't sit there and tell me that movie has any sort of like it's sane at all. It's not.
Platoon's a great movie. Wall Street's a great movie. I love the movie JFK so much, and when I learned that not only is that movie based on a bunch of really contrived stuff,
Not quite accurate stuff.
well, and the really the devastating thing to me is Oliver Stone for Jim Garrison, the Kevin Costner character in the movie, prosecuted Clay Shaw based on what he knew was garbage evidence, and Oliver Stone knew that. So while I'm a big JFK conspiracy theorist, that movie that inspired me so much, I now know is based on bullshit and more bullshit, and that just that was devastating to me to learn.
Best Oliver Stone movie, by the way, is Midnight Express.
Is what?
Midnight Express?
Yeah, that's probably his best movie, in my opinion.
Natural Born Killers. I didn't know Midnight Express was him.
Yeah, Natural Born Killers is supposed to be such a different movie.
What's that?
Natural Born Killers is supposed to be such a different movie.
I don't know what you mean.
Wasn't that one that was written... Oh, no, I'm thinking of True Romance. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So back to my depressing segue. Otto Warmbier from Cincinnati, Ohio, had spent 14 months in North Korea. Was returned to the United States a couple weeks ago in a vegetative state, and he passed away today. So I don't know what to say about that particular case, other than I find it bizarre that that he was returned to the United States in the condition he was in, and that he, died so quickly. North Korea remains such a fucking mess. I don't even know where to start.
Well, I just want to know, how good is the weed in North Korea?
Apparently,
It is good.
well,
Not, you gotta take those edibles. Don't fuck around.
apparently not. It's like from a diplomatic standpoint, we're now going to have a diplomatic showdown between two of the craziest world leaders of all time. And I have to say this. So the other day, this is a couple days ago. This is while this is all unfolding, I was listening to POTUS. So Steve, I was for a change not listening to the Patriot channel, getting all revved up. I was listening to, I think it's channel 104 on Sirius, POTUS, which I consider to be a pretty... What's that?
124, get it right.
I said 124.
No, you said 104.
Yeah, it sounded like 104.
Okay, I meant that 124. And I, honest to God, they said this, and it was, Dennis Rodman is returning to North Korea. The State Department has announced that he's not traveling in any official capacity. And I'm thinking to myself, idiocracy is officially here.
Well, all right, hold on. Before we get to Dennis Rodman, I just want to kind of go back through what happened with the student here,
Okay.
because I think we're kind of glancing over that a little bit. There's a lot there that needs to be unpacked.
I feel like I established pretty well that he was the first person to overdose on marijuana.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, there's that. I don't listen. Otto Warmbier was, he's 22 years old. I believe he was. I don't think that he was a CIA operative planted in North Korea to steal secrets. The story is that he took down he took a flag off a wall or something like that, or some sort of propaganda. They caught him. They took him in. They held him, and they returned him only when he was in a vegetative state. He was in a coma, and then once he came back, he was here for about a week, and then he died. The North Koreans claimed it was botulism, is that what put him into a coma? But CT scans and everything else showed that it was pretty severe brain damage with no signs of botulism whatsoever. And the reason why we should have an issue with this is because the North Koreans just killed an American for no good fucking reason. That's the reality of the situation. The North Koreans beat that kid to a bloody fucking pulp, and then they sent him back when he couldn't talk, and then he died. So they killed a fucking American for no good reason because the kid took a flag off a fucking wall. I have an issue with that. I have a really big issue with that. I have an issue with the way that this is being handled from a government standpoint, and I don't. And it's not. I'm not rhetoric guy. I'm not rah rah guy. But you kill a 22-year-old fucking kid, and then I get a half-assed response from my president on it. Like if this were, and I hate to do this, but if this were fucking Obama, the right and conservatives would be all over him. They would be all over him for the lack of response that fucking Donald Trump has put out. I mean, like this is about as close to a fucking declaration of war as that you're gonna get, and for us to have this kind of just half-assed response to it gets under my skin. Just to say, just a bit.
All right,
and I think we're limited in what we can do in actual action, right? Because North Korea is a powder keg, and so do we really want to set it off? But I don't know. I'll stop there.
Why did he go to North Korea? I'm not super familiar.
You know,
with this.
frankly, I was meaning to look into that earlier today. It was through some travel organization. So it was, there isn't 100% travel ban on going to North Korea. It's just really complicated. And this was a company that could make it happen, so to speak. Why he went, I frankly don't know. Do you, Steve?
I don't know. It hasn't been something that's been made completely clear why he was over there. Which, again, you mentioned Dennis Rodman. The U.S., the State Department, no matter if it was Obama or Trump, has said, like, don't go there, and this is exactly why. So I don't know why he was there, but he was there for 17 months, by the way.
Right, and I know that he was there for a while. I just don't know why he went there in the first place. And all it makes me think of is movies like Into the Wild or Grizzly Man, where Grizzly Man, he goes and lives with bears and tries to become friends with them, and then the bears eat him.
The bears do what bears do.
Right, and so if you're going to go to North Korea and expect as an American, whether you're a spy or not, that they're not going to treat you terribly, I don't know if I want to say this is something that's an act of war that should start a war because some
ill-advised young guy
was
made
like,
that decision.
I want to try and I'm going to try and save everything.
Yeah, you see, Steve, I see what you're saying, but to me, you said, like both sides of it. It is an act that demands investigation, but the options are extraordinarily limited. I mean, negotiation,
right, and that's the part. Like, and it's hard, and doing a podcast and the show, and not being able to dedicate 100% of our time to it. I would love to have kind of thought this out and mapped it out more so that I could go, but I can't. Like, I'm stuck with the emotional aspect, and I have to think quickly on it. And I realized as I was coming to the end of that rant, like, what the fuck can we actually do?
Well, what we can do,
war with North Korea over this kid. Now, part of me says, fuck yes, but then at the same time, that's not realistic or logical. We can't. And not that this kid should be forgotten. I don't want him to be forgotten. It's just I can't even imagine what his parents are going through right now. But it's fucked up.
Yeah,
yeah. If my kids were like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to North Korea," I'd say, "No, you're not."
You're not.
No, you're not.
I will handcuff you to a radiator before I let you go to North Korea.
But the good news is they have their best agent on the case, Dennis Rodman. Simon Says North Korea is not going to get away with this.
What was the name of that movie?
Simon
Says.
Says.
Called Simon Says. Okay.
Simon Says.
Oh my goodness.
Right,
Interpol agent Dennis Rodman.
Let's talk about 6'10" Dennis Rodman in the land of North Korea. What in the fuck is actually happening right now?
He's going there to fuck Asian ladies.
Fair enough.
That is all I can think of. He gets drunk with Kim Jong-un and fucks Asian
lots
ladies.
of Asian chicks. Yeah.
You know what?
He's living the first part of the interview. Like,
you do realize that. I hope that's like the best case scenario is that. That is literally the best case scenario. Dennis Rodman just goes over there, drinks on Kim Jong-un's tab, and they fuck Asian women, like North Korean women. That's the best case scenario of Dennis Rodman going to North Korea.
His first time going there, they did a documentary about it that I watched, and it was really interesting because obviously it was very controlled by the state, but it was funny because the U.S. All-Stars team, which is Rodman and a bunch of former NBA guys and former college stars, go to play this game against the North Korean All-Star team, and they can't. Have you seen this thing?
No, but the North Korean All-Star team sounds like me, you, Bill Squire, and my dog.
And we'd probably beat them.
Well, so it's funny because they're doing this big thing, and at the half it is so lopsided that the U.S. team can't even make it not embarrassing. So they decide to switch it up at the half and literally play
switch players
and play a mixed up game, so there's no embarrassment for the regime. Mm-hmm. It was just bizarre. And it was, I mean, the fact that Dennis Rodman is the guy behind this, and me being as much older as I am than you guys, I watched Dennis Rodman as a rookie turn into the freak show he became. I mean, as a young player, he was just a super high energy. He wanted to be an offensive guy.
I was a little kid, but I remember him playing with the Pistons and stuff. I remember that stuff. I remember the transition from him being that guy to who he became with the Spurs.
Right, when he was Demolition Man and all that stuff.
Yep.
My favorite moment.
Demolition Man.
Demolition. He did. I think that movie inspired the hair change that then became the hairstyle of the week. He got to fuck Carmen Electra and I didn't, so he wins there. Or did I? No, all right, can't even pull that one off.
No,
I did not. But all right, so I mean, with all the tensions with North Korea that could arise, and then we had the issue with the U.S. shot down a Syrian jet, and the Russians have said that they will now make American jets a target. I mean, that's the sort of thing that could lead to World War III.
And that is surprising.
What's that?
That Syria has jets.
It's surprising they can get them off the ground. Well, I mean, they have Russian jets, so Russia sells them to them. I know, you're being funny, but
they make my jokes.
Sorry, but remember, we shut down with 59 missiles. We shut down Syria's air force.
That's right.
Or did we?
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Yep. So that is, I mean, Steve. Last time we went down this road on the old show, we were accused of being too dark, and we were. But this is where serious shit really goes on, is when Russian military and U.S. military start having standoffs. A kid getting, detained and ending up dead in North Korea is obviously a tragic event and obviously a diplomatic nightmare. But an armed interaction between a U.S. jet and a Russian jet is what leads to escalation that could get out of control. And between Putin and Trump and the folks Trump has put in charge, that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't scare me as much, only because I don't think that Trump would flex his muscles back at Putin.
Because?
Because he's not... I think he's intimidated by Putin. No, wrong. He's not intimidated by... I think he's in awe of Putin. And I think that if you had a situation where... a U.S. plane was shot down by Russian planes in Syria, Trump would try to talk us out of having to go fight with Russia. I just don't think he's got the balls to go toe-to-toe with Russia if they were to do something like shoot us down.
I don't think he has the logic to not turn people loose. I don't think he has the logic to look like a... I don't think he could diplomatically diffuse anything.
Yeah, well, but this isn't a diffusion. It's not about diffusing. It's about, well, what are our options?
Just like you said before.
Our options are go to war or not go to war. And if we don't go to war, then, this is the end result. Russia, blah, 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 blah. But I could see Trump trying to rationalize in his head, but, Vladimir Putin's my buddy. He said, he told me how smart I was. I don't think that they meant to shoot us down. Or what did we do? Was that pilot a Democrat? It was probably a liberal pilot. I could just see Trump trying to talk his way out of it And not because he wants to defuse it because he's afraid of war, but more because he just sees Putin as someone, I can't go to war with someone who's openly giving me a comment or a compliment.
The way I see it is that, just like you said earlier, if Obama did this, the reaction from the right would be X. If a U.S. military plane got shot down by the Russians, I don't think you could hold back and nothing was done by the American military. I think even the Hannitys and the Alex Joneses would turn on Trump. And I think in fear of being labeled President Pussy, I think he would do something dumb.
I mean, he may do something, but it would probably be, again, shoot 29 missiles at the Ukraine part that Russia took over and never really gave back. You know what I mean? Like it would be something non-consequential. Some part he would shoot a bunch of missiles into Siberia. Like, see, we took action, we did it. Like I don't think he's got the balls. I don't. It's not about diffusing. He doesn't have the balls to take on Vladimir Putin.
He'd give Pussy Riot an exclusive tour of all the Trump hotels that aren't in Russia.
I love Pussy Riot, mostly because of their name.
Mostly.
He wouldn't. He would show them the golden showers.
And I'm starting to wonder if that actually does exist. By the way,
no, don't be sorry to wonder. Everyone should wonder that. I'm curious.
I
would love to know.
I when that first came out, I thought, okay, there's no way that's real.
I think there's a version of that.
Yeah,
that's real.
I mean, only one prostitute was pissing on him. That's the.
I think the most likely scenario is the prostitutes were peeing on each other.
Yeah, because the way the story... So, like, if you go back and you read the stories, God, we are way off track at this point.
Yes, we are.
But the whole golden showers, it wasn't that he was peeing on anyone or anyone was peeing on him. And I'm talking really loud, so I'm pretty sure the people in the hallway can hear me. But it was
I hope so.
He had the prostitutes peeing on each other, and he was standing back and watching... And because it was the same bed that Obama had stayed in, and so it was the whole point was to file the bed that Obama had stayed in, which pretty much goes in line with everything that he's doing from a government standpoint.
That's true.
So
that's true.
That lines up and makes sense. So the video that you might see, I suspect, is two pretty attractive Russian hookers peeing on each other with, and pouring champagne on each other, and Trump standing back, without his jacket on, with his tie down to his nuts, giving his look of approval.
That's now the video I want to see. You painted that
Trump
very well.
out of it, and I'm
exactly.
I'm okay with it. I think I've actually seen most of it.
It starts with two really attractive Russian hookers. So
exactly.
I'm in. See that?
You had me at Russian hookers. All right. So one other thing we should probably hit on. Bill hosts a showcase show at Barrio in Lakewood, Ohio tonight, so we got to roll in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But a little plug for you that will be heard after the show airs.
Yeah, it's every Monday. So
it happens every Monday at Barrio in Lakewood is where I started doing stand-up. So I appreciate you very much for that.
Wish I could say the same.
I'm sure you do. Fuck you. All right. Anyway, the Supreme Court came down today with a ruling that you can trademark inflammatory or offensive things, making the trademark case against the Redskins.
Before we get to this one, can I just cut you off real quick?
Sure.
Because we had one more topic on the whiteboard of topics.
Yes.
And it's a pregnant woman killed in Seattle. And I just think abortion's getting out of control.
Wow. He's been... All right, I was trying to see where you were going to go with that.
That's all I wanted to say. Yeah. All right, now on to the...
Moving on.
Thing.
All right.
Abortion is getting really aggressive.
We get it. You have rights, ladies.
Wow. Congratulations. I've derailed. Mm-hmm. That's a story that we'll get into as more things unfold. But yes, it was on the whiteboard. Anyway, so the Redskins, the suit against the Redskins now is going to lose its validity because the Supreme Court has said offensive trademarks are acceptable.
And this is a reversal, right?
It's a ruling. It's a reversal. It's a ruling over top of what had previously been done. And that comes into play a lot in Cleveland. And I listen to your show, the Alan Cox show that you are a co-host of all the time. And I know the fight against the Chief Wahoo symbol is always coming up every now and then, and I have a personal opinion on that. That I understand why people could find that logo offensive, but I don't understand how you can find the term Cleveland Indians offensive. It's just a name that describes an ethnicity. Granted, it misascribes it from years ago, whatever.
Well, that's why.
Okay.
So now you can see.
No, thank you. It's all clear now. But I mean, like, when people talk about the Florida State Seminoles, they need to get rid of that name. The Seminole Nation endorses it. I mean,
right, but the Seminoles is very different than the Indians because the Indians is literally like it's the wrong description.
It's a generic broad sweeping term provided, like, given by white people to Native Americans, right?
Given by white people to Native Americans inaccurately based on not understanding where they were in the world. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but here's my issue with it. And as a black male, I just have to kind of think of this like, okay, if there were a team out there, if it was the Cleveland Blacks, right, and the mascot was just a black dude, I would have to be like, am I offended? I don't know, but something about it just kind of chaps my dick the wrong way. I mean, like, you look at it and you're
black
just like,
dick.
Right, like, you're just like, something about this just, I don't know. Am I offended? Not personally.
All right, wait. What if the mascot was a, like, really, like, good-looking, ripped black dude fucking a white girl?
Right, and again, it's like, I'm not offended, and it's not that I wouldn't do it, but
you're gonna wear that hat.
Right, I don't know if I can, I think my
not
point
a fat
being,
white girl either.
Right, my point being is that I think that even if you try to make it like, I mean, like, so I'm fucking a very attractive white girl,
not
eating
a black
chicken. I'm not eating
caricature.
chicken, but I have a very good-looking sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things working in my favor. I still think it's probably something that I wouldn't want to be the image that's projected by a sports team across the world.
Okay, what if it was a like a tribe from Africa?
Well, see, so that's where it gets weird for me, right? Because I don't have a great relationship with many Africans. Africans don't really like black people from America, right? They don't like us. They don't consider us to be. We're not kindred spirits. We're not.
I know a lot of people that can relate to them.
Right, it's just like nobody likes black people, including black people from other countries. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, black Americans, like, everybody fucking hates us, no matter where we go. It's ridiculous. Nobody believes me when I say that, but it's just like, go somewhere else and ask a black person who looks like me, who you think will like me, and they will tell you that they don't.
I like you, brother.
No, I don't know if I buy that. So for me, the whole African thing would be a little bit different, but I still have to think globally. I have to have the same protest because people aren't going to make it. They're not going to. White people aren't going to distinguish between, it's a black African and an American African. Like, you guys aren't that deep, right? I mean, you just see a black person. It's a black person. So no, I don't think an African tribe is the way to go. I just think that would I change the Cleveland Indians name at this point? I wouldn't change the name Cleveland Indians, but I see where it makes Native Americans uncomfortable, and so if the Indians decide to go with the Cleveland tribe or something like that, I would buy it. I think they should absolutely get rid of Chief Wahoo because it's really disgusting, right? Like, Chief Wahoo is a bad symbol. The Washington Redskins, their mascot, I don't have a problem with, but I could see where they probably.
But the name itself.
The name itself,
right.
They need to get rid of, right? Like, so it's not just a whitewash where you get rid of the name, you get rid of this. Like, you can keep the emblem, but change the name. And then in Cleveland's instinct, like, you got to get rid of Wahoo, but you can keep the Block C. Obviously, you can. I think you can keep the feather. You can keep the feather We can't do the tomahawk because that's the Braves, but I mean, I think some of it you can keep, some of it you need to get rid of. I don't think it's just a black and white answer of, it all has to go.
All right, going back to the African tribes being the mascot, if it's the Hutus and their main rivals, the Tutsis, how do you feel about that? Because finally, they could get some revenge.
Well, here's the problem: is that I feel kind of left out of it because one is really tall and lean and skinny, and one is really short and also lean and skinny, and so I feel like I just don't fit in. So I kind of just don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, you do not fit into that. All right, Steve, we're looking at a time thing here. We got to get a ride down to Barrio and go watch some comedy. So do you have a closing remark or anything?
Well, first I'd like to thank Bill for jumping in and spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
I had a blast. I'd be willing to do it again when you're back in town.
Yes, absolutely.
We'd like that.
I think my physical presence helps. If anything, just me sitting there with no shirt and covered in tattoos and sweat really makes for a nice time for everybody. So,
all right, let me clarify. That's not how the show normally goes, but it's going to start.
Bill, I do appreciate you spending the time with us. We'll definitely want to do it live when we can all be together. I get worked up about things. And I just feel that lately I've definitely been a little aggressive on things. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's just because I'm passionate. It's not because I hate Jim and I want to fight Jim and I beat him after the show or anything like that.
But we can both agree on this.
Oh, no.
Jim's beer is shit, right?
Oh, that hurts.
No, we can't.
No, it's actually really good. I really love that beer.
On that note,
I can't give a compliment without
the first jab. Okay.
Yeah, first.
Right.
Yeah,
on that note, thank you for listening to Whiskey Congress. Thank you, Bill, for coming in. Steve, have safe travels back. We'll be talking again soon. And we are Whiskey Congress at www.whiskeycongress.com. And you can email Steve or I at jim@whiskeycongress or steve@whiskeycongress. So if you want to talk to us, that's how. Thank you very much. And we are at Whiskey Congress on Twitter.
And at Bill Squire.
At Bill, you want to plug anything?
Sorry. Bill Squire on Twitter. Yeah.
At Bill Squire on Twitter. Thank you very much. We're out.